Good morning, class. So for today, I will be your teacher in English 10, and I am your teacher, Rochelle. Okay? So for today, we will have a new lesson, and I know for sure that it will be a fruitful discussion. Okay? So before we go ahead, Miss Letta, can you please lead the prayer? Okay, thank you so much, Miss Laika, for leading the prayer. Okay, class, good morning once again. Okay, how are you guys feeling today? Good. Okay, so it's good to know that you guys are feeling cool and great for today. And I'm sure that you are now ready to listen and learn new things or lessons for our discussion for today. Okay? Alright, so before we proceed, I want this class to sit back, relax, listen actively, and participate. And of course, I don't want to hear any noise unless you are called to speak, you are asked, or you have to share your ideas. And you will only speak when you raise your hand, okay? Raise your hand so that I can acknowledge you and I can call you, and you can state your ideas, or if I have a question and you have an answer. Okay, is that clear? Alright, thank you so much. Now, let's have a quick game called Name That Myth. Okay? So again, the game called Name That Myth. So simple instructions for this. I will show you some pictures and you will guess the myth that the pictures is associated to. Okay? So let's begin. Okay, the first photo is this one. You guys see it? Okay. So what is this, class? A lyre. Very good. This is a lyre. Okay, how about this one? How about this? This one. A fire. It could be. Any other guesses at the back? Yes? Okay, underworld. Very good. This photo depicts an underworld. Okay? So the first one is a lyre. The second one is an underworld. So given this photos class, what do you think are the words associated with these photos? Underworld and a lyre. For the first one, we have a lyre. What are the words that can be associated with this one? A music, an instrument. Yes? It could also be a talent. Very good. Okay. Now, how about this photo of the underworld? What are the words that can be associated with this one? Hell. It could be also. How about others? Yes? Sadness. Okay. Sadness can also be depicted by just looking at the photo, right? Okay. So, given those words, ideas that associated with this photos class, what do you think now is our topic for today? Any guesses? Name that myth. What is the myth that has a lyre and an underworld associated? Yes? Any guesses? Yes? Okay, very good. We will tackle about Orpheus by Alice Lowe. So for today, we will have a discussion of a myth entitled Orpheus by Alice Lowe. Okay, but before we proceed, let's have first our learning objectives. Okay? Okay, can you please read the learning objectives? Learning objectives. At the end of this lesson, students will be able to summarize the belief of Orpheus and its key elements, evaluate the decisions and traits of Orpheus using guided questions, and relate the moral of the story to personal experience. Alright, thank you so much for reading the learning objectives for today. Okay, thank you so much, Mark. Alright guys, so moving forward, I will group you into 4 groups, okay? This will be the group 1, you guys will be the group 2, this will be the group 3, and the group at the back will be the group 4. So, before we proceed, I will be going to read, or we will be going to read an excerpt entitled Orpheus by Alice Lowe. So I will be distributing the copies of the excerpt. This is for group 1. Okay. This is for group 2, 3, and 4. Okay. Do you guys have already the copies? Okay. So, before we go deeper and read the story of Orpheus by Alice Lowe, I have a short question. What would you do for someone you truly love? Anyone? Yes, Christian? Okay. Guys, class, Christian said that he would do everything, whatever it takes for his loved ones that he truly loved dearly. He could go 1,000 miles, even if it's so far away, so that he can be with those people he loves. Okay, very good, Christian. And for that, I will be giving you a sleigh clap. Okay, guys, let's give Christian a sleigh clap. This is how to do the sleigh clap. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Sleigh. Okay, 1, 2, 3, go. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Sleigh. Okay, thank you so much. And now, let's proceed. Okay, group 1, could you please read the first 2 paragraphs? Orpheus by Alice Lowe. There were 9 goddesses called Muses, born out of Zeus and Titanus named Mnemosyne. Each muse presided over different art or science. Calliope, one of these sisters, was the inspiration of poets and musicians. She was the mother of Orpheus, a mortal because his father was one, and gave her son a remarkable talent of music. Orpheus played his lyre so sweetly that he charmed all things on earth. Men and women forgot their cares when gathered around him to listen. Wild beasts lay down as they gathered around, him as if they were tame, entranced by his soothing notes. Even rocks and trees followed him, and the rivers changed their direction to hear him play. So let's have a pause here, okay? So, after reading the first paragraph, let's take a pause. Okay, so after reading the first paragraph, what do you guys think the qualities of Orpheus that make him unique? Yes? Okay, he is a talented musician who's gifted with music and charm that can, the music that can charm anyone, including gods, wild beasts, rats, trees, and the river. Okay, so let's now proceed with the group 2. Okay, group 2, can you please read the paragraph 1 to 3? Orpheus loved a young woman named Eurydice, and when they were married, they looked forward to many years of happiness together. But soon after, Eurydice stepped on a poisonous snake singing sad melodies to try to overcome his grief. But it was no use. He longed for Eurydice so deeply that he decided to follow her to the underworld. He said to himself, "No mortal has ever been there before, but I must try to bring my beloved Eurydice. I will charm Persephone and Hades with my music and win Eurydice release." He climbed into a cave and through a dark passage that led to the underworld. When he reached the river's place, he plucked his lyre again, and Cerberus, the first three-headed dog who guarded the gates, heard the sweet music and late to still let him pass. Orpheus continued to play his lyre tenderly as he made his way through the gloomy underworld. The ghosts cried when they heard this sad music. Sisyphus, who had been condemned to roll a rock hill forever, stopped his fruitless work to listen. Antalus, who had been sentenced to stand in a pool of receding water, stopped trying to quench his thirst, and even the wheel to which Isaia was tied as punishment stopped turning for one moment. Okay, so thank you for reading the paragraph 1 to 3, group 2. So, I have a question first. What is the name of Orpheus' wife? Eurydice. Very good. Now, what happened with Eurydice after they were married? Okay, Eurydice stepped on a poisonous snake and eventually died. Okay, so how does it affect Orpheus? How does the death of his beloved wife Eurydice affected him? Alright, he started to roam around the earth singing sad melodies. And what he did after that? He decided to follow Eurydice in the underworld. Okay, thank you so much. Now I'm sure that you are now following the story. Let's now proceed with the group 3. Can you please read the 4th, 5th, and 6th paragraph, please? At last, Orpheus came to the palace of Hades and Persephone, king and queen of the underworld. Before they could order him to leave, he began his gentle song, pleading for Eurydice. When stern Hades heard Orpheus' song, he began to weep. Cold Persephone was so moved that for the first time in all her months in the underworld, her heart melted. "Oh, please, my husband," she said to Hades, "let Eurydice be reunited with Orpheus." And Hades replied, "I, too, feel the sadness of Orpheus. I cannot refuse him." They summoned Eurydice, and the two lovers clasped each other and turned to me. "Wait," said Hades to Orpheus. "Eurydice is yours to take back to Earth on one condition." "What is that?" asked Orpheus. "She must follow you, and you must not look back at her until you are on Earth again." "I understand," sighed Orpheus, "and I am forever grateful." Okay, thank you so much, group 3, for reading the 4th to 6th paragraph. Now, what Orpheus did to convince Persephone and Hades? Okay, he started to sing and pluck his instrument, his lyre, to plead for Eurydice's release. Then Persephone asked Hades to release Eurydice and be back again together with Orpheus. Now, the two of them felt the sadness and finally decided to let Eurydice come together with Orpheus in the outside world part of Earth. Okay, so are you guys following the story? Okay, so let's see what happened next. Do they have an happy ending? Sad? Is it tragic? We will let Orpheus and Eurydice left the underworld and made their way through the dark passage that led to the upper world. At last, they reached the cave through which Orpheus had descended. I can see daylight ahead, called Orpheus to Eurydice. We are almost there, but Eurydice had not heard of them, and so she did not answer. Orpheus turned to make sure that she was still following him. He caught one last glimpse of her arms stretched out to him, and then she disappeared, swallowed by darkness. Farewell, he heard her cry as she was carried back to the underworld. Orpheus tried to follow her, but this time the gods would not allow it. And so, he wandered the earth alone. He sang his sad songs to the trees and longed for the time when he, too, would die and be reunited with his beloved Eurydice in the underworld. Okay, so we are now done with the story of Orpheus. Now, what happened in the last part of the story? Is it sad? Is it happy? Okay. Eventually, Orpheus looked back when she doesn't heard anything from Eurydice and to make sure that Eurydice is following him. But what happened when he looked back at her? Okay, very good. Eurydice is swallowed by the darkness back to the underworld. Why? Because Hades gave them a condition, gave Orpheus a condition not to look back to Eurydice, not until they reach the outside or outer world, and that's the earth. But Orpheus failed to follow the condition. Okay, so now we are done with reading the story. Now, let's first define what is a myth. Okay? Okay, so Orpheus is an example of a myth. And before we proceed, let's now proceed with Orpheus is an example of a myth. And now we will learn what is myth. Okay? Yes, Kyle, can you please read what is myth? Myth derives from the Greek mythos, which means or which has a range of meanings from word through saying and story to fiction. It also natural phenomenon, cultural practices, a supernatural, and a lot more. So that is the definition of a myth. And Orpheus is an example of a literary under myth. Okay? So where do you think Orpheus is under the literary of a myth? Yes? Because it talks us about gods and goddesses in the underworld, and they have an exceptional talents. Like Orpheus, right? He is a gifted one with music, and also they have the natural phenomenon or the supernatural. So these stories like Orpheus, the myth of Orpheus, is not proven true. It can be a fiction, like what is written on the definition. Okay? So now, let us proceed with the elements of a myth. Okay? Okay. So the first part of the elements of a myth is the character. Who can read the character, please? Okay. Character is a person or animal or a being that plays a role in a story. So in mythology or in a myth, characters are often god, goddesses, or heroes, and etc. It could be also mythical creatures. Okay, so in the story of Orpheus by Alice Lowe, who are the characters of the story? Yes, we have Orpheus. Any other answers? Eurydice, yes? Persephone, and then last we have Hades. Okay, how about the other mythical creatures or fictional creature in this story? The three-headed dog named Cerberus. Okay, very good. So, that is the character in the story or in the myth Orpheus. Okay, let us now proceed with the setting. Setting, this is where and when the story takes place or the story happens. So, in the story of Orpheus, where does it happen? So, where is the setting of the story? In the earth. Very good. It can be on the earth, and the other one is in the underworld. Very good. Now, when does it happen in Greek mythology? It was a gloomy night when Orpheus decided to follow Eurydice in the underworld to plead her release. Okay? So the setting of the story is in the underworld and the upper world or the earth. And then it happened, or the time it happened is in a gloomy and dark night in the underworld. Okay? So now, we will now proceed with the plot. What is plot? Plot is the sequence of events that happen in a story. It's the exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and the resolution. So in the story of Orpheus, what is the exposition? Okay, so the beginning of the story is Orpheus is a very talented musician, and he can charm everyone with his music, with his charm of music, even gods, goddesses, plants, animals, and other human beings. So that's the exposition of the story. That's where the story started. Now, what is the rising action? Rising action is the problems are now starting to arise. That's why it's called rising action. Now, in the story of Orpheus, what is the rising action? Okay, very good. Let's clap our hands, class. Okay, so the rising action in the Orpheus myth is when Eurydice stepped on a poisonous snake and then died. So that's the rising action where the problem started to arise. That's the rising action. Now, next is the climax. So climax is considered as the most exciting and most exciting and the most favorite part of every myth or every story of a plot. No? So that's climax. When we say climax, this is the highest point of the story. Okay? So in the Orpheus myth, the highest point or the climax of the story is when Orpheus decided to follow Eurydice in the underworld, and then he started to plead Eurydice to Hades and Persephone through his music. Okay, so that's the climax. Now, what is the falling action? Falling action, in opposite with the rising action, falling action, on the other hand, is where the problem is been granted by Hades to bring back Eurydice in the underworld. So the rising action is Eurydice died. Now the falling action is Eurydice has been granted to be brought back to the earth in Orpheus. But with one condition. And what's that condition? The condition is not to look back with Eurydice. Eurydice must follow Orpheus and not to look back at her until they reaches the upper world or the earth. Very good. Thank you so much. Now, we will now proceed with the resolution. The resolution is the ending or denouement of a story or a myth. Now, what is the ending of the story or a myth? Orpheus. Okay, Orpheus asked Eurydice that they are now near the upper world. Now, Orpheus didn't hear back from Eurydice, and that's why he decided to look back to make sure that Eurydice is still following her. And now, what happened next? Right, Eurydice has been taken back to the underworld by the darkness. Why? Because Orpheus obviously broke the condition that Hades gave him and they have agreed upon, which is the not looking back until they have reached the upper world or the earth. So that's the resolution. The plot, once again, is the sequence of events that happen in the story, the exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, and resolution. Are you clear with that, guys? Okay. Thank you so much. Now we will now proceed with the last element of a myth, which is the theme. Theme is a central idea or message or underlying meaning of a story. So theme is basically the message, central message of a story or a myth. Now, in the myth of Orpheus, what do you think is the theme? Sadness, doubt. What else? What are the theme that you could take from the myth of Orpheus? Okay, I heard a word, patience and trust. Now, why do you think trust and patience is important? Can you please repeat it in your personal experience or personal life? Okay, so Bianca said that trust and patience is important in overcoming challenges because if you don't have the trust with yourself or you're doubting yourself, how are you going to trust other people? And for the patience, we believe that patience is a virtue, right? So we should have a patience for the things that we want so that in the end, we will get what we want and we can be happy with the outcome. So what happens when someone doesn't have this longer patience? Okay, most of the time those people that has this short temper or patience, most of the time they are successful with their lives, and then they also have sad lives, but not everyone, just most of them. Okay, so patience and trust is important. Now, are you guys now clear with the elements of the myth? What is myth and the story of Orpheus? Okay, now if you don't have any questions, we will now proceed with the activity. Okay, so I want you guys to have a one half crosswise. Okay, one half crosswise, and you will create a brief reflection or alternative ending of the story. So in the plot, we have the resolution, right? So you guys will now create what is your version of the ending of the story. What could it be? If you were Orpheus, if you were on Orpheus' shoes, what would you do in the end? Now, that's your task for that activity. And I will give you just 5 minutes for you to create your own ending of the story. Okay. Okay, time's up. I will now collect activities. Can I now have it? Okay, thank you so much. Now, if you guys have learned already the story of Orpheus, what is myth, the elements of a myth, I will now give you an assignment. Okay? For your assignment, you will research a Greek story or a myth and prepare a short report about its main characters, themes, the setting, plot, and the characters. Okay, so that will be your assignment. Read or research a myth, a Greek mythology, and prepare a report about its characters, setting, plot, and theme. Okay, include the title and the writer. Okay, so be ready to share it, class, with the next meeting. Okay, so much from today. Are you guys alright now? Okay. Thank you so much for your active listening, cooperation, and participation. Okay. Now, class is